Hello, my curious souls. Welcome in or welcome back. My name is Amanda. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your time, energy, and I was going to say kindness with me. Yes, thank you for all of the views, likes, comments, shares, subscribes, donations. All the ways in which you support my channel is greatly appreciated, so my heartfelt thank you to you. I do hope that my messages in any of my readings from the past until now and into the future offer you clarity, guidance, and inspiration on your path ahead. I hope you are doing well out there today, staying safe and tending to your well-being. In today's Pick a Card Tarot reading, we are going to open the floor for Spirit to come through and share messages and guidance for the collective today. There is no specific theme for this reading, so the mystery is going to be revealed in each one of these soul paths. Trust that whatever comes through and is resonating for you is meant for you, but if the messages is not quite resonating with you at this time, then lovingly leave it for who it is meant for, or return to it at a future date as it might resonate in a week or a month's time. If you feel ready to dive into your reading and your mystery message today, the timestamps for each one of the soul paths are in the description box. However, for those who would like an official introduction, let me do that right now. For Soul Path 1, we have the Peacock Oar, and the card with the number 1 on it. You can use the symbolism in these cards, the numerology in these cards, or choose the crystal that is calling to you the most. For Soul Path 2, we have the Amber Stone with the number 5. And for Soul Path 3, we have the Amethyst Crystal with the number 6. So when you feel called and ready, use the timestamps in the description to jump straight into your reading, and we will see you over there. Hello, Soul Path 1. Welcome into your reading. You chose the Peacock Oar with the number 1 card. I have a good sense that you are looking for a sense of self. You're looking for your own unique creative expression, or you would like to root yourself into something that you can then launch all of your projects from, or launch all of your aspirations from. There's something about a launch pad here that I'm seeing, and in order for you to rocket or to move in the direction that you would like to go, you have to first understand the root of who you are. And I have a feeling that there's a lot of self-discovery that is happening with you right now. There could be a lot of questions. You could be trying to get to the heart of a matter or the root of a situation. And there could be some resistance in changing your mind. Like, I thought I was one thing, or I wanted to do one thing, but now I'm changing my mind, and there could be a resistance to doing that, which is preventing some kind of movement forward. But I feel there's some that are looking deep within to discover a more solid sense of self that is not reflected from maybe the people around them, but what you see in the mirror, what you want reflected back at you. And for some, there could be a sense that you have lost touch with yourself in some way. So it's like you're coming back to that. And there's a why coming through of why did I do this or want to do this in the first place? So there's some kind of distance of where you started and where you are. And there's seemingly a gap of, I don't really resonate with this anymore, but maybe you've lost touch with your purpose or your why. So there's a looking at that as well. Now that could be a side message. I'm getting some dark night of the soul, or maybe just a questioning of things. Things are changing and that's okay. So let's get more into some detail here. I'm gonna move that. There's something about taking up space or getting into center stage as well. Maybe not being afraid to be seen. Okay, so let's look at your current energy for Soul Path 1, please. Knight of Swords. Let's look at the energy around you, the external. Page of Wands in the sideways position. So there could be some challenge here for sure. There could be a need to move faster than you are. But I feel like there is this energy of not knowing which direction you're going. So knowing that direction is going to be really important. Again, coming back to that root of self, of kind of distilling some element of yourself into a specific emotion or a specific feeling or a specific thing that you can root yourself down in and propel off of. This feels very rocket ship energy to me. But there's an unsturdy foundation or kind of a lack of vision of I know that I want to move possibly away from where I currently am, and I might have a vision or multiple visions for how this could look, but I don't really know how to get there, so I'm just gonna move and hope that I land in the right spot. But coming back to that rocket ship, that NASA metaphor, there's a lot of calculation and a lot of specifics that go into the process of launching something into outer space, especially if they're aiming for something specific like the moon. There's a lot of calculations, there's a lot of scientific knowledge that goes into, and mechanical knowledge that goes into launching that rocket in order to hit the target. They need to have the right amount of fuel, they need to have the right amount of food. All of these things need to be kind of pulled together into one solid thing, a flight plan, so that you can move forward and hit your target. And we don't want to be moving in a space where we are going so fast that we're going to bypass something or completely skip over some steps, because that's going to create a setback. So I think there needs to be some kind of clarity that comes in first before you can move in the way that you would like. So what specifically needs your attention right now? Ace of Pentacles. And we'll get clarifiers after. Let's see what needs to be done about this Ace of Pentacles. Again, I'm getting root of the matter here, and we're getting a lot of slow-moving energy, kind of right out of the gate. So what comes next? Okay, even more slow energy. So we have Ace of Pentacles in the position of what needs your attention. We have the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse, what needs to be done about this pentacle. And then we have the Hanged Man in reverse, what comes next. So then we have the Two of Pentacles. There's something that is going to need a little bit of finessing. And again, we're coming back to the root of something. The root of something, a better understanding, a better sense of what needs to be done. This is like square one, starting from square one and starting from scratch, in a sense. Of a new opportunity, or starting from, there's a starting from step one here. So what needs your attention is, what is step one? Let's start building the space to plant this seed. And what needs to be created in our world, in our life, in our environment, within ourselves possibly, that can really give this seed the best chance to grow over the long term. And I think there has either been a resistance to maybe assessing something, or there has been some setback, maybe a forced setback, that has encouraged you to look at something. So whether you've resisted it and are trying to bypass something, or the universe is forcing you to slow down to look at something and assess something, and you're really not wanting to, again, there's just a resistance to that. So what needs to be done is you have to look at the things that have worked for you in the past, the things that you have committed yourself to in the past, have invested yourself in, that is really going to help you bring your new vision to life. And I also get a sense that this is a bit of a paring back as well. So if you have your energy kind of scattered in multiple directions, it's kind of distilling it down to something that is really potent. Rather than trying to do 100 things at once, let's try to distill it down to 1 or 2 things first. Or at least the top priorities is what I'm getting. And I'm also getting that with the 2 of Pentacles. What are the 2 top priorities that you need to focus on at this time? Rather than piling things onto your plate and possibly getting overwhelmed and not really sure where to focus your attention or your energy. But trying to move through all of those things really fast so you can have the time to do other things, or the time for self-care, or the time to do personal development. So this is actually taking that time, encouraging you to take that time to assess rather than take action, rather than make decisions out of a lack of clarity or impatience or resistance. And then what comes next is that you remove yourself. When you remove the distractions and the things that are not really priority, you remove the distractions and you can start seeing change. You can start seeing the movement. You start having a clarity about what you need to do and what's next. So there's this energy of suspension of movement to be able to see things in a different way, in a new way, and to actually take action in a new way as well. So rather than speed ahead and miss something or risk speeding off into a direction that isn't going to work, it's about having this different perspective on things, of moving in a different way, of surrendering to the process so that you can understand things in a new way. So let us get clarifiers now. I mean, I feel pretty clear what this might be. There's something here that you are going to see or understand in this process of slowing down, to really get clear on things and to move a little slower than you have in the past. And what's interesting, I'm being drawn to this mirror, which has the happy face upside down, but the happy face here is right side up. There's like this hanged man energy happening within this card as well. So there's like this stoppage to look around, to assess something, to see something in a new way. But it's going to take a lot more patience on your part, a lot more time on your part, because you came right out of the gate, Knight of Swords. But it felt, because it's in reverse, it's a touch reckless. I don't want to say reckless. It's the wrong word. It's a touch hasty. That's the word. And there could be good reason for that. No judgment here. Ace of Pentacles. What is this? 9 of Wands. There could be an area of your life where you have felt like you've put in a lot of effort and you've built something up that just isn't really paying off in the way that you thought. It has possibly exhausted you. It has given you challenge after challenge after challenge and is not letting up. it's not getting easier. In fact, it feels like it's getting harder. This could be in the realm of business or work, or just something that you are investing your energy into. You've put your heart into this. You've put a lot of energy and heart and passion into this, and it has really drained you. There's a lot of responsibilities, a lot of things that you have carried over a long period of time. So it's time to start something new. It's time to do something different and invest in a new way. 7 of Pentacles in reverse. What is this? 2 of Swords in reverse. So you cannot make decisions in the same way that you've made them in the past. In an energy, especially when we have not assessed something and come to that clarity. Now, because it's in reverse, it can mean 2 things. Either you are being forced to make a decision. As we mentioned, there's kind of 2 resistances that were coming through on the 7 of Pentacles, where you are kind of not seeing something that needs to be addressed, and therefore you're in this stalemate energy. But if that goes on for too long, and there's certain decisions and things that you have to choose, or you have to make decisions on, and you're not making those decisions, and you keep resisting those things, then you're going to eventually get to a point where you have no other choice but to make certain decisions, to pare things back. And that might be tougher when you're kind of painted in a corner than it is if you are proactive about these decisions that you have to make, these things that you have to pare back or cut out. So whether you're actively engaging in that or you're resisting that, that's going to be up to each individual person here. But again, there's something that you're investing in that is not paying off. It's not reaping the harvest or offering you the rewards or the benefit or the wellness even that you need at this time in order possibly to feel secure or fulfilled or satisfied or financially fruitful. So there are some decisions that need to be made. And maybe you are unsure how to make these decisions because they all feel important. I think there's some things here that aren't as important as you might think. So what are the easiest non-important things that you can let go of? That's kind of the first place to start, is what do I need to do? What do I want to do? What is it that I can easily offload that doesn't have huge dire consequences? And even when it comes to those bigger decisions that we have to make, those should not be done in haste. Again, taking your time, not rushing that process. Something that's coming through with that. Hanged Man in reverse. What comes next? The Hanged Man in reverse. Hanged Man in reverse. Hanged Man in reverse. The Hierophant. So this, to me, is you learning something here. Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck in reverse. I feel like this could be quite an emotional process for you, but you're coming out really strong in what comes next, because you have a lot of minor arcanas here as to the things that need to be done, what needs to be addressed, and kind of the underlying influences that are surrounding you at this time. What comes next is the big stuff. So the small details, the small decisions, these small little corrections that you make, and building that flight plan, if you will help you take big leaps and strides towards where you want to go. The Hierophant is about a higher knowledge, a deeper understanding of something. It can even mean doing things in a structured and routine way, in a traditional sense, so that you can not feel scattered and you have a focus. You have a little bit of a plan to work towards and work within. And that might be quite helpful, but it requires a little bit of setup first. It requires the nurturing of the soil and the preparation of that soil so that this seed that you are planting has the best chance. And then it's about working through what needs to be pruned away from this seed so that it has oxygen, room to breathe, sunshine to grow. And those might be difficult decisions that you have to make. But they are necessary for the bigger picture, for the bigger leaps and bounds that you want to take here. But it's about turning away from the chaotic energy that you might easily get swept up in, the emotions of it all, and that could be this Ace of Cups, and to just focus on the most important tasks at hand, the priorities. And this is kind of a chop wood, carry water. You can't do everything at once. You have to do one thing and the next, and, one toe in front of the other. Rather than doing the big stuff right away, it's about the little things first. And it's about the management of the details and the energy and the emotions along the way, rather than getting swept up by them. But again, having that plan, having that structure, having that routine to root yourself into, to ground yourself in, because that flight plan or that strategy or that structure is going to help prevent you from shooting off into a direction that you may not really want to go in. So all this talk about space. We're going to pull a Moonology card. Do I want to do that? Yep. We'll get one card to end your reading for Soul Path 1. For Soul Path 1. Communicate. Talk to the moon. Communication could be quite important here. Stay in integrity. So, I'm not getting a lot of communication here, although the swords can connect to communication. This is interesting. Communication might have something to do with your energy. You could need to communicate with somebody but aren't. Communication is also about understanding or sharing in some capacity. Sharing with others could be important. Communicating with someone could be important here, especially as you're making decisions for your path forward, for your future. And maybe there's an avoidance to that, especially with the Knight of Swords being in reverse. There could be a need to just take action and not communicate with somebody, or even listen to yourself. That could be something there as well. But for some reason, I'm getting taken back to this idea of space, of launching a rocket ship. There's always communication happening. Of this is what's happening, this is why it's happening, we need to do this, we need to do that. So constant open dialogue so that nothing gets missed. And then bottom of the deck, we have stay in integrity, which is kind of the feeling that kind of the reason I feel for this message is so that you can stay in your own integrity throughout this process. Kind of your staying in your truth, your truth of truths, your heart of hearts. And again, rather than getting you off course or off track, there's something about staying within what is true for you, no matter if certain circumstances change or interests change or directions change. You're always going to come back to that source of who you are, why you do what you do, and there's kind of a deeper understanding. So that to me comes back to that communication card, where it's not maybe necessarily about verbal communication with somebody, but communication with self. Opening the dialogue with yourself to ask yourself questions and hear the answers. Interesting. I've never had that come through before. But in any case, my dear Soul Path 1, this is your reading today. I do hope you found the messages helpful. If you did, I would love to know in the comments of what messages or even the imagery stood out to you the most, and maybe why. And with gratitude, I'm sending you my love. Stay curious, and I'll see you in your next reading. Hello, Soul Path 2. Welcome into your reading. You chose the Amber Stone with the number 5. And this card speaks to evolution and things changing shape. Similar message came out. There was a touch of this in Soul Path 1, but there was kind of a reflection point of here's where I am and here's where I started, and the two look very different. So there was a bit of resistance of either wanting to go back or not really understanding now how they have adapted or changed and what things needed to adapt and change in their life to suit. But theirs was really asking themselves really tough questions, and I feel yours is about really embracing some kind of change or evolution that is happening in your life. And over time, something has reduced, dwindled. There could be a loss of interest, or there could be a loss of desire for something. But to me, that is just you evolving in a way that is personal growth, that is spiritual development. And so your evolution does not need to be changed or fixed. It is a natural part of becoming more conscious, becoming more elevated, becoming more aware of who you are and what you would like to do. There could be something specific in your life that is evolving, where your tastes are changing, or your friendship groups or your interests are changing. But I would bet that there's a through line or a commonality. Even though there's something here that has changed shape, you are still you at the core. And that was part of Soul Path 1, is having them discover the core of who they were again, or the root cause of something, so that they could understand how to move forward. But to me, this is like you've already understood that, and now you're evolving because of it. You're changing shape because of it. So this might be a little bit of a sticky point, because you're actually seeing some of the changes happen in your life, and maybe you're more intrigued and curious by it than you are challenged by it. But there's also a touch of fear and maybe a little touch of doubt with that too, because you don't know what new shape or form you and your life are going to take. Now that this growth has happened, it's like you can't go back. You've reached some sort of save point in your life. So it's really interesting. Let's see how this plays out in your mystery message, if at all. Let's take a look at your current energy. And I did shuffle these before I got into the reading, but I felt called to shuffle them again. Soul Path 2. Let's look at your current energy. Where are you currently at for Soul Path 2? I also feel like you could be stepping into a more confident self. A self that is more assured and clear about their path forward, or about who they are. And maybe that's why this changing shape is happening, is because you are becoming more clear, even though you're in this midpoint of things are changing and it might feel a little uncomfortable. This is you becoming the butterfly, if we want to use that butterfly analogy. You're in the cocoon and you're turning into this different state, this goo, and you're going to emerge a much different person. But at the root of it, I feel like you're finding yourself rather than becoming something completely different. You're expressing yourself in a more authentic way or a more natural way. It's almost like you're returning to self again. So we have Temperance in reverse, which is your current energy. This could have you feeling a little uprooted, a little bit unsure, maybe even lacking a little bit of direction or patience in this process as you try to get a feel for things. This is being unable to really moderate yourself. There could be a lot of things changing in your life, so it's hard to kind of find your center or find some sort of balance, because there's a reactivity that I'm feeling from this, where things are changing, you have to move with the changes, and you can't necessarily settle and find that equilibrium. So let's look at the external influence, what's going on that has you feeling this way. Okay, we've got the King of Pentacles. I'm almost wondering, I wasn't feeling that when we're going to take them, but I kind of wasn't feeling it. When they flipped out, it kind of didn't feel sure. There's a doubt coming through with that. But we're going to take them anyway, because they did fall out. And so let's work through this. External energy. Yeah, there's a lot of slowdown happening. There's possibly a bit of a setback. And you are a person that is very steadfast, very hardworking. And to not be able to know maybe what to focus on or what things need to change, this can be a little ungrounding for you as a person who feels like they really know who they are and what needs to happen, and who is really rooted in the comforts and security and safety of their home, within their themselves or their business. And when things are changing in the external, this can really make you feel a little ungrounded, like I almost don't want things to change, but I know they need to. And so it's like, what do I need to focus on first? What do I need to do first? What do I need to offload or pare back or cut down? This Seven of Pentacles in the reverse actually came out in Soul Path 1. So if you were called to Soul Path 1, that could be something for you. Or you could be coming from Soul Path 1, so this could be a continuation of that, where once that self has been identified or returned to, you're now having to move through the process of making certain changes. And uprooting that comfort zone a little, getting out of that comfort zone a little, feeling a little uprooted, ungrounded. All right, so what needs your attention right now? What needs your attention right now? And this might give you clarity into where do I focus first, because there could be a lot of scattered energy, and I feel like trying to put out fires. You're trying to put out fires. And by fires, I don't mean literal fires. I mean metaphorical fires, where there's a lot happening and calling your attention. Page of Swords. Yeah, definitely what needs to be addressed is you need to find clarity. Now, how that happens, sometimes we have to learn by doing. And the doing is how we learn and understand. And making mistakes is how we learn and understand as well. So being okay making mistakes, being open-minded in this process, and having a mindset of openness and learning new things is going to be important, because that's how you're going to gain clarity. That's how you're going to start understanding things, is by, I don't want to say take control, but choosing something and doing that thing of maybe making a decision. Not worrying that it's not the right decision, or not worrying that it's not the most top priority decision. So what needs to be done? Ace of Cups. There's a vulnerability here Yeah, there's, with both the page and the ace, it's like this openness to learn, this openness to feel what you need to feel. Now, what's interesting, going back to the Temperance card, there are cups in that card that are being poured into each other. So there's this mastery that's happening with that. And with her being in the upright position, she's got one foot on the ground and one foot in the water. So again, we have that balance of, I'm just engaged enough that I can understand the situation and I know what I need to do. But I'm also grounded in where I am in the present moment, in myself. So when she's in the reverse, it can be I'm too in my emotions or too involved in a situation to see it from a higher perspective. So that could be part of it, is that maybe we need to, in order to find clarity, we have to get ourselves to higher ground and to feel what we feel, to eliminate all of the other, maybe all of the other people's feelings in our environment or the emotion from the situation at hand, and to get higher ground so that we can hear our own thoughts. We can hear our inner voice. We can feel how we feel rather than connecting to how somebody else feels and then having our decisions cater to that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but when there's a flood of things going on, when there's a flood of emotions, it can be really tough to know, with all of that energy, where do we stop and somebody else's feelings or emotions begin. I have a feeling that you might be a very sensitive person, so that when things are happening in the external world or when changes are occurring, that this can possibly overwhelm you and uproot you, as we said in the beginning. But this is about being adaptable and evolving in a way where we learn a new way of doing something. We learn a new way of thinking about something, of seeing something. There's a perspective that is being gained. But it's kind of going above and beyond the situation. It's getting this bigger picture of what's happening here. And with that will come clarity. So what comes next? You could have also multiple emotions. We'll get clarifiers with this, but yeah, having multiple feelings about something can be really tough, to, especially when it comes to decision making. Okay, so Six of Swords at the bottom in reverse. I have a feeling that there are some decisions at hand that you don't want to make because you know exactly where it leads. And it's not fun. It's not an exciting energy. And again, this evolution that we talked about earlier, it can be quite difficult because we are changing forms, and so might our interests, and so might our values and beliefs because of that. And that can happen with people, and that can happen in disconnection from people. I think there are some decisions that need to be made here that you have either avoided because there is a fear of the emotional overwhelm that comes as a result. We have the Three of Swords here as the What Comes Next card. And that can be a bit of a painful energy as it speaks to heartbreak and pain and the decisions that we make that might lead to that. Having to process that, not just from an emotional standpoint, but from a mental aspect. But there's a mindset shift that wants to come through here that is being blocked. Now, in the upright, this is somebody moving away from turbulent energy. with some assistance from others. So is there an area of your life where you could possibly use some guidance or assistance in moving away from something that is troubling you? And the something that is troubling you, I feel, is part of, I don't want to say an older version of you, but a decision was made in your past, maybe in a more immature state, that no longer aligns to where you would like to go. It could be a person, it could be a career, it could be a situation, friendship, etc. And while you might have some emotions surrounding that, I'm not sure that you can use that emotion to make this decision. It has to come from a very logical place. It can be from a kind place, even though it is rooted in logic and deep understanding. But there's a vulnerability in this decision, and you have to be not only open-minded as to what's next, or what's beyond the initial feelings of it all once you make a decision, but you have to be open to all of the emotions, not just the good stuff, but also the bad stuff too, and the uncomfortable stuff. This is part of the evolution. This is part of this moving on process that I feel you are ready to make, but are unsure if it's the right decision. This feels like a little bit of a big energy. This feels like it could possibly shift your trajectory or direction in life, although maybe not. It matters, but it doesn't in the whole scheme of the bigger picture. And I don't know why that's coming through, but coming back to this candle, it started out very passionate, very fiery, very exciting, but something has dwindled. It has been unable to sustain itself in that same way over time. And sometimes that's natural, and we can kind of settle into a state where it's comfortable or where we're completely satisfied with where it's at and it doesn't need to change. But I don't think that's the case for you. I feel like it dwindled over time and you wish it had stayed the same, or you wish it had evolved or adapted in some regard, but it didn't. And maybe you did. So that is why there's this decision that's coming through that needs to be made, and why maybe you are overwhelmed with making this decision, is because it's rooted in an older version of you. And it's tough to let go of. So Page of Swords, upright Page of Swords. Upright Page of Swords. The Fool in reverse. There's new possibilities here that you won't see again until you start taking action, until you start making decisions. It's kind of like, you know, when you get a job offer, you can see the email or you can receive the phone call in tangible reality. And I think you really value being able to see things and touch things and be able to know where you're going. There's a comfort in that. There's a security in that. But this, you can't see beyond the step that's in front of you. And that will only be revealed, the possibilities, the opportunities, the new chapter, the new path is going to be written by you as you go. There are no assurances, there are no guarantees, there isn't a path to follow. There is no rule book here. You are creating your own rules, which is why there's this openness that needs to come in. You have to be open to all of those possibilities because anything is possible. So what needs to be done with the Ace of Cups? Ace of Cups, what needs to be done? Needs to be be done. Here we go. Page of Pentacles. Take it slow. Take it slow and steady. No need to rush. There's a focus on the most important thing. And that is coming from a place of pure love, pure compassion, kindness, vulnerability, but staying rooted in remembering why you're making these decisions, of why you're feeling the need to invest in something new, to do something new. I feel like you might have reached a peak with something or someone, which is all the more reason why something needs to change. A decision is required. Or at least being open to learning something new is required, is because there's a new truth that you're operating under. And I feel like you've uncovered this new truth or discovered this new truth in your personal growth along your path somehow. And now you have to align yourself through that in action, in kind of the real world, in those steps of the one foot in front of the other of this is what I need to do. Even though you can't see the bigger picture yet, I think that will come in time. And this Three of Swords, what comes next? The Empress. So you have to be willing to invest in yourself and not see that as a bad thing. Five of Pentacles, bottom of the deck there. Know that you can build the security, the comfort, the possibilities for yourself. And I think that's what's evolving here, is that you are kind of relying on yourself a little more, or you're stepping into an energy of knowing you can do something on your own, or having confidence that you can do something on your own. Knowing that you can love yourself, and that is not a feeling, it is an action. And I think you're learning that. But it's also about a perspective shift of that just because you are in this place of evolvement, of doing things alone, doesn't mean you will A, do things alone forever, or B, can't reach out for support from others. There could be somebody in your life currently that could be a bit of a guiding light, somebody who can help you through this and build that confidence, build that knowledge base. And I'm not really sure if this is in the realm of career, where you're branching out from your traditional 9-to-5 and you're starting your own business, or this is in the realm of relationship, where you are disconnecting from a relationship in order to go it alone and kind of follow your own path for a while. I think this could connect to a number of different areas of life, but there's going to be a little bit of heartache in this process because you are emotionally attached to something here. You may not be having the best of times, and you may have maybe invested in this thing for a very long time, maybe to a point where you feel very sturdy in this situation. But I feel like you've reached some kind of peak and you can no longer grow under this umbrella anymore. So in order to feel challenged and to learn something new and to continue that personal development and self-growth, you have to be willing to open yourself up emotionally, energetically, within the mind as well, to not only the possibilities and the beautiful things that could lie ahead, but also the tough stuff that comes before that. And knowing that you're going to be okay. Knowing that that is the path to build that confidence and that strength within yourself. So final card for Soul Path, thank you, 2. Seek healing. I think this is going to be a very healing path for you. Even though it might not feel that way, it might feel like you are inflicting pain on yourself a little bit, but it's a little bit counterintuitive. It's like you have to move through the tough stuff in order to find some kind of healing and understanding. And again, we have a little bit of that evolution happening with this moon here, where it's changing, not necessarily changing shape, but it's changing color. And again, it's that progression. So I think in the moment, you're going to see all of these little changes happening. But when you compare me 5 years from now to me 5 years ago, they almost look very different. But at the heart of it, you're living more authentically, you're living more fully, you're living more vibrantly, you're living more aligned to your values or the things that you enjoy, or even in more comfort or different comforts that you may not have really thought you needed, but actually did. Bottom of the deck is communicate. So this also came out in Soul Path 1. I think communication is going to really be part of this process. Communicating with others, even communicating with yourself, which was the message that came through in Soul Path 1. Asking yourself the tough questions and listening to the answers without judgment, shame, or doubt. Sort of that first initial response. And getting curious about that. That's how the healing will happen, is when you start communing with yourself in a sacred space outside of the noise, again, getting that higher perspective and blocking out maybe other people's emotions for a time just so that you can hear yourself think and feel, knowing what that intuition is and not getting so wrapped up in the external world that you can't really find your sense of self in the gravity of it all. So this is what I have for you, Soul Path 2. I do hope that was helpful and resonated for you. Please let me know the messages that resonated with you the most and why, and even some of the imagery that might have resonated with you. I always enjoy hearing that. And with gratitude, I'm sending you all my love and luck. Stay curious, and I'll see you in your next reading. Soul Path 2, I was just shuffling this and noticed a card from another deck was in this deck, and it was Shift Your Perception, and we were talking about that, so I just thought I'd pop on to share that because it clearly wanted to come through for you, and I just love that it did because it's so aligning. Anyways, that's all for now. Hello, Soul Path 3, welcome into your reading. You chose the amethyst crystal with the number 6. Now, this is, to me, this is home. This is also reflections, and it's intuitive reflections. There's possibly a reflection that's happening in your life right now. Could be related to home or possibly childhood. And kind of looking at those memories or the things in the past in a different way. So there's like a perspective or a perception that's changing here. Maybe even more intuitive reflections about your past or about your home or about something that lies within your heart. So home is where the heart is, what your heart is reflecting back to you. And you picking up on that more intuitively. There's something about growing in a space as well, so rooting yourself down in a space that feels like home or feels like community, that feels quite authentic. Okay. Now let's see how that plays out in your reading, if at all. And there could be a good reason for maybe this reflection. Maybe you're trying to find more harmony and balance in your life. It's funny, when I was shuffling your cards before the reading, that song 8675309 came up in my mind. So that could be some numbers for you, or a song that has some messages for you. Let's take a peek at your current energy. I don't know why I said it with that inflection, but Eight of Cups in the reverse. So there's either something that you have emotionally left behind, and maybe you're looking back on that decision. Or maybe you have gone on some kind of quest and have emotionally understood something on a deeper level. Or there's a resistance to leaving something that you've emotionally invested in that simply isn't aligning for you or working for you. So whichever one resonates for you, take that one. But there's some kind of emotional cycle that maybe you have found or did find yourself in, and you're reflecting on. There's a lot of water coming through with that keyword, with the word reflection, and we have the cups, which are upside down. So it's like the spilled cups have offered you a sense of reflection because the emotions are no longer in the cups. They're on the ground. They have spilled. They have overturned. So you're now able to possibly, from this space of being distanced or disconnected from it, you're able to see it from a different point of view. Or from there's some new information possibly coming through with that. Let's look at external influence. For Soul Path 3, please, sorry. Page of Swords in the reverse. Okay. Yeah. I feel like where you found yourself wasn't really aligned with your truth and really gave you the sense of fogginess, of lack of clarity. So it almost felt like, I can't be here. And my dog just rang the chimes as she was laying down in her bed. So again, there's something that you're settling down into. And you're hearing a calling. You're hearing your heart. And knowing that where you found yourself previously wasn't really part of your story or part of your truth. And maybe you weren't able to learn anything in that space either. So let's look at what needs your attention currently. What needs your attention currently? Okay, Ace of Wands spun around, so there's like, do I, don't I? Do I, don't I? I think it's dynamically pursuing something new, knowing that you have to invest your energy in something new to build something new. That could be the fear, that could be something you're hesitating on because maybe there's a lack of clarity you're feeling around this thing. Now, this could be any multitude of areas of life. This could be a new relationship. This could be a new project or a new business, a new hobby, a new career path. And there's this, I don't know, energy. But I think in the heart of hearts, you have a passionate desire to take some kind of new path here, to plant something new, and to see it grow over time as you invest yourself. So what are those passions? What are those desires? Maybe that is what needs to be looked at right now, is looking at what you want moving forward, rather than emotionally investing in something that maybe somebody else wanted. What do you want? So this is about self when we're talking about the ones. What needs to be done? We have more wands here. We have the Eight of Wands, or pardon me, yeah, the Eight of Wands in the reverse positions. We have another 8. Again, the 8 from that 867 song is coming through very strongly here. And so again, it's about how you've done something in the past. You're not able to do it in the same way. So don't think that once you have this idea of a dream or a passion, to not chase it so forcefully that you speed through the process. This is taking your time, or even delaying the process in some way so that you can be a little more mindful with it. Not taking it so fast, not moving so fast. This is also a communication block, or being unable to see movement of some kind. So it's like you send an email, and instead of getting your typical 1 to 2 day response, it's been like 3 weeks. So there's something about communication here that could be quite blocked. And there's almost like there's nothing to be done right now. This is kind of the feeling, is like there's no forcing something right now. You just have to let things be and bubble. And yeah, just, I want to say simmer, but that's not the right word. But to just be in the energy of the newness, rather than having the idea and then quickly rushing into something, or rushing into that idea with full force and full passion. There's nothing wrong with that. But at this time, there could be a lack of clarity, or a lack of understanding or knowledge, or even a lack of communication that needs to come through first in order for you to start moving forward. This is also manifestation energy. 8s, it's about abundance and seeking success. So maybe you're rushing towards success, I don't know, or wanting to see results right away, but it's not possible. So yeah, you can't really do anything right now. It's just all about being, thinking about the dreams, about gaining clarity about what you want to pursue next, what's next. Speaking of what comes next, what does come next? 3 of Wands, more manifestation energy. And we have the Page of Wands at the bottom of the deck. So yes, this is about having a new vision. There's a ton of wands here, all wands. And so this is about your vision for your future, or vision for your project, vision for your career, vision for your relationship. It's all about rooting yourself down into that first, consistently over a period of time. And rather than rushing to see results and quickly going after the things that you think might get you there, it's about really being patient in that process and putting in a little bit of an effort and having a plan, maybe having a strategy, and putting in a little bit of action here and there. It's not about rushing. It's about being very intentional about where you are staking your claim and where you are investing your energy, and being patient to see what comes back to you, waiting for that response, waiting for that universal response. There is some kind of communication that is going to take some time for you to receive. So you might say, apply for a job. Let's use the easiest metaphor for this. You see a job that you want to go after, you apply for the job. You don't hear from that particular person or that particular opportunity. And you really wanted that job. But it's continuing to maintain the faith that if it's not this job, it's going to be something else. So to have that trust, to continue to pursue similar interests, similar opportunities, and waiting for that response to come back. You might get a response from that original opportunity, but it might take you 3 months to receive something, or 3 weeks to receive something. So it's not about getting frustrated and irritated that I didn't hear from them within 3 days or 10 days or whatever. It's about trusting that if this opportunity is not for me, something else will come along. I just have to continue to focus and to put my effort into that thing that I want to manifest or to bring to life. And to know that even though There's nothing here in this moment in time. I trust my vision that I can build it. In this page, he takes the Ace of Wands and he plants it in a space where nothing exists, trusting that I see the bigger picture here. I see a vision that only I can see, and I'm going to pursue that with great passion and effort and adventure and curiosity and creativity. There's a lot of creativity with the wands. So it's like you are coming back to the opening energy here to tie that in. It's almost like you are starting the groundwork for something new that you're building on or building up from the ground up, from scratch. So it's like you are building a new community. Maybe you're building a new home. And it's not about rushing to build the home, because then the foundations aren't going to be strong enough to withstand the walls and the roof. So we must take our time and trust that our vision will eventually come to form one day. But as with manifestation, it doesn't happen overnight. So let's get some clarifiers. Ace of Wands. We have the Tower card, and we have the Eight of Cups Eight of Cups in reverse on the underside of that. And it drew my attention because it's in the same position as your current energy. So because your current energy is that Eight of Cups in reverse, I feel like this came at a cost of you walking away from something, or maybe resistant to walking away from something. It comes at a big cost. And it could mean that the literal foundations of your life are kind of crumbling around you because you've made a decision that this no longer aligns. So where I live doesn't align, the friends I have don't align, the relationship doesn't align, the career path, whatever it is, could be all of the above. But you have reached some kind of peak here where something cannot withstand or sustain in the way that it has. So you kind of have to dig up the dirt and kind of tear down the things that aren't working in order to start from scratch, start fresh, start anew, and clear the energy out. This Tower is like you're clearing away a lot of the old that maybe got grandfathered into your life from your past, from your childhood, and you're coming to realize that I have choice in this particular area of my life. And why am I choosing to hang on to something that is not fulfilling, that's not satisfying, that's not really aligned with who I am or who I want to be? So it's about making that emotional decision and making the tangible decision to move on to something that will be exciting and passionate and purposeful, meaningful. Ace of Wands isn't just, I'm going to have pizza for dinner versus a hot dog. This is what's going to fulfill me at the soul level. What's going to be most nourishing for me at the soul level. What's going to give me purpose and maybe far-reaching impacts in my life and maybe for other people's lives. So in order to do that, we sometimes have to do tough stuff. And this could be a wake-up call too, where there's this awakening happening of, holy cow, what am I doing? And then making decisions as a result of that. So people from the outside, it might look like you are tearing down the house, but really you are creating something new. Eight of Wands in the reverse. Temperance. Yeah, patience. I hesitate to say that because we all, love to hear tarot readers talk about patience. But the temperance is, again, doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and not pouring yourself into something so much that you lose sight of the bigger picture, or you lose sight of other things that need your attention. This is having patience in that process, moderating your expectations, moderating your energy and your investment in something, of staying grounded and present in the process, and doing a little bit of experimenting before choosing a direction, before choosing a strategy and just going all in. This is about, just doing a little bit at a time to see. This is kind of like a beta test, or is it a beta test? A/B testing, where it's like doing one and another and seeing which one is going to be better in terms of results, in terms of how I feel about something, in terms of the process, and if it's working or not. It's about tempering ourselves a little bit and spending time making adjustments as needed. What comes next with the we have the Justice, big energy kind of underlying this. And we have Queen of Wands. I love the progression there from the page to the Queen. So what comes next is I want to say a fair outcome, or something that really feels like it's in balance with you, emotionally, logically, and even you having a better understanding of how something needs to be. So there's you having a bit of an unbiased approach of, I know I want to do something in a certain way, but let's just try this and see how it fits. And making decisions from a very clear place. So whereas before you might have been really set and it has to be this way, it has to be that way, this is the outcome, and there's a rigidity that comes with that. But here, it's like you're coming to a more, I don't want to say discerning place, but a place that allows you to weigh your options before taking action. A place that allows you to observe before making a decision, or before movement, or choosing. So this is really kind of cool energy. It's like you've been able to temper your expectations, manage your impulses, your passionate impulses, to see how things go, and to make judgments along the way, and make decisions along the way based on what I know in this moment, rather than basing my judgment or opinions or decisions on something that I wish to happen that may not happen. And because of that, I feel there's a real maturity that happens. You go from the Page of Wands to the Queen of Wands. And that to me is starting to see the vision unfold, building something for yourself, and having that confidence within yourself to go from the Ace of taking something from a seed of an idea to something that you can see in tangible form, that even attracts people to you. Again, we've got that manifestation energy coming in with the Queen, that she is so confident and assured in her creativity and her vision that other people are intrigued by her, engaged by her, are attracted to her because they want that for themselves, or they want her assistance in doing that. So I think you're becoming more inspired as you go, and you're starting to see your vision come to life over time. You're starting to create the things of your dreams. And I think this is the reflection that we talked about, is that you're starting to have a better understanding of what those dreams are, what your passions are, what your desires are, what your purpose is, and how to actually go about achieving that in a way that might be slightly different than before. Because I think your approach is changing in that process. I think that you're also having a little more patience, even though Wands is a very fast-moving energy. They go after it with gumption and don't question themselves. But I think, again, there's a bit of tempering energy that's coming through, especially with the Eight of Wands in the reverse of, yeah, I know you want to move forward, but hold on. So I think that's going to be a challenge point for you, but also I think it's going to feed into your higher or highest goal that you have here. So final card for Soul Path 3, please. Ooh. So truth. And I'm going to take it, but I'm not going to take it because I was taking the bottom card. Okay. So we have truth and support for your cards. I think you could possibly look for support. That just could be an asterisk of looking for support through this, looking to community for that, support of whatever this journey might be. And your main card was truth. It's interesting that there wasn't a ton of swords that came out, which typically is tied to truth and expression of that truth. But the Justice card did come in here, which is about, the truth of the situation and getting information from all points of view to come to the truth of something. So I wonder how that plays into this pathway for you. It's almost like you become more aware of your truth, what it is you need, maybe even what it is that you want or what it is you're chasing after. And then bottom of the deck is mystery. So I think there's going to be a little bit of, it's also mystery. There's pyramids here. There's pyramids here, and there's pyramids here with the wands. So it's being reflected here in this mystery card where I think the outcome is going to be mysterious and different than you expect, which is why we need to release ourselves from the expectations, from the shoulds, from the rigidity of how it needs to be, when it needs to be, why it needs to be, and just simply follow the truth of what we want to create or align ourselves to a passion or a purpose or a mission, because then it doesn't really matter what happens in between, because we are working towards something a little bit greater than the process itself, if that makes sense. So the mystery of where you end up is a big unknown. How it's going to look is a big unknown. But I feel you're going to be building something of substance here. You're going to be creating something of substance, of a vision, of some kind of greater mission or purpose or some kind of greater value than you've had in your past, whether that be in a relationship, whether that be in a career path. Or it could be building up a relationship in a different way than you've done before, and really maturing in that relationship in a really beautiful way. So this is what I have for you, my dear Soul Path 3. Let me know in the comments what messages resonated for you and why, and even what imagery resonated with you and why. I always love to hear that. And with gratitude, I'm sending you my love. Stay curious, and I'll see you in your next reading.